Martin Zubimendi bidding war with Liverpool, Manu Kone and Sander Berge talks, and Wan-Bissaka deal relying on one major thing. These are some of the stories we will be discussing on this evening's show. But before we get into that, please do me one small favour. Smash a like on today's video. Let's try and see 1,000 likes on this episode. And if this is your first time watching, please do subscribe to the channel. I'm live every single day at 8:30, 1:30 and 6. Currently, only 50% of people who watch our videos are subscribed. So if you're one of those who isn't subscribed, make sure you get involved. It's completely free content and everyone is welcome. Right, let's jump straight on into it. And I want to start the show off by talking about Wan-Bissaka, because there's been a big update that's dropped in the last couple of minutes from Sky Sports, and they are reporting that a lot of the details between West Ham and Manchester United have now been agreed, but contractually, details and terms of Wan-Bissaka's departure with United are still yet to be finalised. So, hold on, let me just shut the window. There's some kids shouting absolute rubbish out there. All right, that's better. Sorry about that. Back to Wan-Bissaka then. So yeah, apparently Wan-Bissaka is looking for some sort of payoff to leave Manchester United. That's what Sky Sports are reporting this evening. I don't really understand this story, to be honest, because Wan-Bissaka's earning about 90k a week at Manchester United, and apparently West Ham are willing to match his wages. So why is he entitled to a payoff? I don't understand it. If there's anybody in the chat who can help me understand, I would really, really appreciate it, because I genuinely can't get my head around this. Like, it doesn't make any sense. I would understand if West Ham were like, we're going to pay you half of your current wage, then obviously that makes sense. But yeah, I don't know. I've never heard of this happen before. It only seems to be Manchester United, doesn't it? You know, a player gets an offer to go to another club and earn as much money as he is now, but he still wants to be paid off to leave. Like, yeah, I don't know. If anybody in the chat knows how that works, please let me know, because it doesn't make any sense to me. Yeah, very, very strange. But yeah, hopefully this deal, somebody just said greed. Yeah, maybe it is greed, to be fair. I mean, that probably is the most logical option, isn't it? Probably is. But hopefully this deal gets pushed through quickly, because it's getting quite frustrating now, this Wan-Bissaka story. Like, we need Mazraoui now. We need a new right back. Jay says it's a loyalty bonus. Maybe, yeah. Nick says it's not actually about being entitled to the money. It's about trying to negotiate a payoff. Wouldn't you try it before you left the job? And Joshua says, is it the 50% transfer fee thing if they have 1 year left of their contract before we sell him? And then somebody else says it's something to do with his extra year extension, which the agent put in the clause. I honestly don't know. Like, I have no idea why footballers are allowed to do this, but it obviously is something they're allowed to do. And I guess legally he's entitled to it, so I can't really criticise him, because obviously Manchester United have allowed that to be in his contract. So yeah, Wan-Bissaka apparently wants a payoff to leave Manchester United. Is it because he's going to a lesser club? I don't know. Is it going to damage his brand? I don't know. I don't know how the arguments work. You know, maybe he says, you know, going to West Ham will mean my followers are less. I honestly don't know. I don't know the answer. So if anybody does know, please do let me know. Lee Cape Town has just done a super chat. He says, hi, Kieran. It's worked into the players' contracts at United. If they extend by the last year, the club has to then pay them out half of what they sold for. Wow. Is that just to Manchester United, or is that to every club? So is that because we triggered his 1 year extension? Right, Reg says it's because the extra year was a club option, not the player's option. So effectively, he had to stay at Manchester United last year, whether he wanted to or not. Is that what you're saying? And he could have left for free, but Manchester United gave him the extra extension, and now he can't leave for free. Is that the situation? I've never heard that before, but obviously I believe you. So that's crazy. So effectively, you're saying that somebody says Murta and Arnold put in a clause last year that they will get 50% of any sale. Is that just at Manchester United, or does that happen at every club? That's honestly mental. Absolutely mental. That's blown my mind. So if we get 18 million for him, we'll have to give him half of it. Is that what you're saying? That's what you're saying, right? That we'd have to give him 50% of whatever we sell him for. Because his argument would be, I could have left for free last summer, but you triggered the extension without my permission. Is that effectively it? Carl says the agents have just rinsed the club because effectively they're all idiots. Yeah, I mean, that's probably believable. And Craig says it's terrible business. I mean, that kind of puts me off selling him now a bit, to be honest. If he's going to get half of the transfer fee. And I'm not having a go at Wan-Bissaka here, by the way. Fair play to him. Like, if I was him, I would take the money. Of course you would. If someone was stupid enough to give you half of the money... Lee says it only happens at our club, and it's absolutely true. They get 50% of the fee. I mean, that's just absolutely mad. So we need to sell McTominay now then, don't we? Because some people are saying I don't think it's true. I mean, loads of people are saying it in the chat. So somebody says, but what's better? Let him go for free or get 50%? It depends if we have the money to buy a replacement, though, you know? Very, very strange. Rewerski says these deals have glazings written all over it. Yeah, they do. They do. Well, hopefully this one still goes through. And Victor says the situation is this. Wan-Bissaka is contractually entitled to 50% of his future transfer fee if he is sold during the 1-year extension, which is obviously now. That's mad. That's absolutely crazy. I'm going to move on from that because it's literally made my head just... My head is blown today just thinking about that. So yeah, if we sell Wan-Bissaka to West Ham for 18 million, we will only get half of that money. Wan-Bissaka will get 9 million and we'll get 9 million. That's just not a good deal, is it? But there's not really too much we can do about it. The alternative is that we don't sell him and we keep him and then he leaves for free next summer. Like, that's the alternative. So 9 million's better than no million. Okay, so that's the situation with Wan-Bissaka. Let's move on from that and let's jump on over to Martin Zubimendi then, shall we? Because the story broke earlier on today that apparently Liverpool are now trying to sign Zubimendi. Obviously, we've apparently been in talks with Zubimendi as well. And apparently the situation with Zubimendi isn't actually that simple. He has this release clause, but he's very happy at Real Sociedad. Apparently, he doesn't actually want to leave Real Sociedad. So he's only really going to leave if he can be convinced by somebody. And some reports are even suggesting that Man United and Liverpool have already tried to convince him to come to the club. And just even if the release clause is triggered, it doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to come. He still has the choice on whether he would actually join or not. So yeah, I mean, it's one of those ones, isn't it, where he has played at Real Sociedad his whole life. He's been there since he was a child. He probably loves the club, all the rest of it. Like, I don't blame him, you know? It's a shame, though, because I would love to see Zubimendi at Manchester United. And the point that I'm making here is, even if Liverpool or Manchester United trigger his release clause, he could still say no and stay. And the other thing as well, which is really interesting about Zubimendi, is that apparently the release clause, the details of the release clause say that apparently whoever buys him has to pay the whole fee up front. So if Manchester United want to buy Zubimendi, they've got to give Real Sociedad 60 million in one go, which we effectively can't do. We know we can't do that. So far this window, we've signed 2 players, one for £34 million and the other for £42 million. But both of those deals have been spread over like a 3 or 4 year period. So we've actually only spent, I think it's like 11.8 million on Xerxes this summer and maybe around 12 million on Lenny Yoro. And if you flip that on its head, with Real Sociedad saying they want the full 60 million up front, like, it's just not possible. I don't know whether it's possible for Liverpool. I don't really know. Obviously, I don't know that much about Liverpool. I don't know about their finances. If anybody in the chat knows, like if Liverpool are in a position to be able to pay 60 million euros up front, then let me know. But I imagine they would probably struggle. We've got another super chat coming in here from Macmillan. He says, the same thing happened with Fred. We triggered his 1-year extension. We sold him for 10 million. Fred took away 5 and we got 5. I didn't know that. This is why I love doing this channel, you know? Like, I don't come on here and make out I know everything. I love to speak to other fans and to learn. And today I've learned something, you know? I've learned that effectively, effectively that we've just done some stupid deals, really. That's the black and white of it. But yeah, thank you for your super chat, by the way, mate. And thank you for enlightening me with this information because, yeah, I'm way more equipped now to know about this situation. Joshua says Zubimendi has turned down multiple clubs already. Yeah, 100%. Carl says, what's your opinion on Edison of Atalanta? I truthfully think he fits the bill financially as well as a player profile and attributes. It's a no-brainer for me. I really, really like Edison. He's quality. Very, very good player. Had a great season, didn't he, last year for Atalanta? I would be interested. Macmillan says the Muppeteers is on a podcast now saying that the De Jong rumours are true and we are in for him. Is that for real? Genuinely. I had someone earlier on today, right? I did a video on De Jong because it was literally everywhere. And they just left a comment saying, I warned you that if you talk about De Jong, I'm going to block you and unsubscribe from you. And that was the end of them, I guess. Like, I don't understand what some people think that this channel was about. Like, we speak about news, we talk about football, you know? But that's crazy. Let me know what exactly he said so I can kind of react to it. But if that's genuinely been said, and obviously he's a pretty reliable person and supposedly he gets his information from the club, I'll be honest with you, right? If we could get Frankie de Jong for £30 million and he was taking a massive wage cut, I would take him. Of course I would. He's a quality player. And he's the player that Erik ten Hag wanted. And at least then, Erik ten Hag would have everything he needs. You know, if he got De Ligt, De Jong, Mazraoui, like, he's literally getting everything he needs then. And if he fails then maybe he's not the right man, you know? Whereas if we go and bring in Amrabat, like, do we really think Amrabat's the player that Erik ten Hag wants? It obviously isn't, is it? He wanted Ugarte, he wanted Zubimendi, he wanted De Jong. If we end up with like an Amrabat or a Sander Berge, like, that's obviously not his number one target. I'm not saying it wouldn't work. It might work, but I'm just saying we need to make sure that Erik ten Hag is equipped with the right things. Would Frankie de Jong really want to come to Manchester United? That's the question we have to ask ourselves. Let's see. Yeah, so let me know more about... Yeah, so if you know anything else about the De Jong thing, put it in the comment section and I'll read it out. We've got over 800 people watching the show live now, which is amazing. If everyone could do me a small favour and smash a like, that'd be really, really appreciated. Let's go for 1,000 likes on today's show. And if this is your first time watching, please do subscribe. We're literally just about to hit 35,500 subscribers. So please go and subscribe right now. It's completely free. Let's try and hit that by the end of today's show. Let me see if I can find anything else about this De Jong story, because that's completely caught me by surprise. I know there's been lots and lots of rumours about De Jong over the last couple of days, and there's been like so many people talking about it, but most people are just saying, oh, it's fake, it's not true, like it's made up, it's Barcelona trying to sell him and all the rest of it. I'm just shocked if like that genuinely could happen. I mean, to be fair, right? Whatever you think of Frankie de Jong, he would be a marquee signing. And so far this window, we haven't got a marquee signing. I think it's good that we haven't got a marquee signing, personally. But it is Manchester United. And with the Glazers still involved, even though Ineos are running the football club, they're not really. The Glazers are still there. And the Glazers will be saying in their ear, we need a big shirt seller. Lenny Yoro doesn't sell shirts. Xerxes doesn't sell shirts. Neither of them sell shirts, right? And we have deals with our sponsors who expect a certain level of stars being brought to Manchester United. So far this window, we've sold Varane, who is a global superstar. Mason Greenwood, who was very popular amongst some people, maybe not with others, but he was with some. And we've let go of De Jong, we've let go of Martial. Like, we've let go of some pretty big name players this window so far. And we've replaced them with Lenny Yoro and Xerxes, who are players for the future. But at the moment, like, if you're a kid, right? The day that Xerxes gets announced, are you going to go out and buy a Xerxes kit? No one would, I don't think. Unless you're Dutch, maybe. Who's gone out and bought a Lenny Yoro kit? Like, probably not that many people. Whereas imagine if you signed Frankie de Jong, you would sell so many shirts. And I'm not saying that Manchester United should sign him for that reason. The point I'm making is, whilst the Glazers are still running the football side of the club, the business side of the club, the finances, the budgets, the brand deals, the sponsorships, that's still all the Glazers. We can be told that it's Ineos, but it's not. Ineos are literally just doing the sport. They're doing the performance, the training ground, the fitness. Like, that's Ineos. The money making is the Glazers. So it would actually make a lot of sense, you know? It would, if we went for him. Somebody's saying that De Jong is injury prone. Yeah, he did have some bad injuries last season, to be fair, didn't he? Let's have a look. Let me have a look at his injury record quickly, De Jong. Okay, so De Jong's injury record is this. Last season, he missed 28 games through injury. The season before that, he missed 9. Season before that, 5. Season before that, 7. And before that, 3. I wouldn't really call him injury prone. I think he's just had a bad luck with it this season. He had an ankle injury, and he's been out for most of the season with that ankle injury. 27 years of age. I know that there's this like whole he rejected us, blah, blah, blah. But if there was a genuine chance of us getting Frankie de Jong and the deal was favourable, I'm talking 30 million, 200, 300 grand a week tops wages, I think you'd have to consider it. And I'll tell you what, let's do a poll. Let's do a poll and see what people think. So I'm going to get this set up right now. Whilst I set up the poll, please make sure to smash the likes. The questions be this. All right, 1 second. Would you sign de Jong 30 million plus 300k per week wages? I think that's realistic, right? So the question is going to be this. Would you sign Frankie de Jong, 30 million transfer fee and 300k per week wages? I think that's probably realistic. I can't see Manchester United paying anything more than that. Like 300k a week would be at the very, very, top of his of what we pay him. Don't know what's going on here. But yeah, we'll wait and see how that one progresses. Like, this could just be a way to try and bring the Ugarte deal down. Someone says it feels like when you go back to your ex. Yeah, I mean, that's a fair point. What? So they've rejected you, and then you go back. Yeah, I mean, it is kind of like that, isn't it? They rejected you publicly, and now you're going back. Kyle says, I voted yes, but I prefer 250k a week. Obviously, I'll keep you updated and see what happens with this one. It hasn't really made its way to Twitter yet, this story that people are talking about in the comments, but I believe the person who said it. So yeah, thank you for sharing that with us on the show today. But I think where a lot of this is coming from is a story that came out earlier on today saying that apparently Manchester United have approached Barcelona for Frankie de Jong. It says they'd be willing to do a deal for around £30 million. Okay? It all sounds great, but the issues are his wages, isn't it? We know that he's on absolutely astronomical wages, and we know that he loves Barcelona. We know that his girlfriend loves living in Barcelona. So, yeah, it's unlikely. Geordie says, if we were able to sell Casemiro and Eriksen, then maybe I'd go for it. That's a fair point. Kyle says, realistically, though, the wages would be 300 to 350. And Ashley says, it's on my trending on Twitter. Let's have a look. I'm going to have a look on Twitter and see. It's always exciting when we get stuff like this live, isn't it? I can't see anything trending on Twitter. I can see his name trending on Twitter, but I can't see any more links to Manchester United. If anything else comes up whilst we're live, I will circle back to it. But let's move on from that for the time being. And let's move on over to Richard Rios and Sander Berge. So this is coming out from multiple people today that apparently Manchester United have been offered the chance to sign Sander Berge from Burnley and Richard Rios this summer. Again, I've said this many, many times before. 95% of the time when we're linked to a player, it's because the agent of the player is trying to get interest in their client. And I think that's the situation here with Richard Rios, definitely. Andre from Fluminense. And although there seems to be a genuine interest in Sander Berge, that was reported by David Ornstein yesterday, I think it probably is agent-driven. I don't think he's going to be very high up on Manchester United's list, realistically. We know that Manuel Ugarte, we know that Zubimendi, now apparently Frankie de Jong. Like, those are the profiles of players that we're going for. And no disrespect to Sander Berge, I think he would come in and do well. I think he's a good player, 6'4", very physical, obviously Premier League proven, played in the league for Burnley and for Sheffield United. I'm just not convinced that that's who Erik ten Hag wants as his number one target. I might be wrong. Maybe I'm completely wrong. But I think so far this window, we can safely say that Joshua Zirkzee was the number one target as the striker, and Lenny Yoro was the number one target as the central defender. Now, can you put your hand on your heart and tell me that Sander Berge, when Erik ten Hag signed his new contract, they sat down with Ineos and he said, Sander Berge is who I want. That is my number one target. I think he's probably about 5th or 6th on the list, As I said, Zubimendi, Manuel Ugarte, Frankie de Jong. Like, there's probably all of these players above him, and I think Sander Berge is like an emergency option. It might work. Maybe that's what we should be going for. But yeah. Somebody saying that Frankie de Jong is an Ole Gunnar Solskjaer signing. Maybe? Why? Very strange. Lots of people in the chat are saying they want to go for Zubimendi. I would love Zubimendi, but I just don't think it's realistic, I don't think it's realistic. I think Sander Berge is a lot more realistic, to be honest. Michael says, I think it's just a scare tactic to get the price down for Ugarte. Yeah, it's possible. Very possible. Anything's possible in football. And a lot of the time it is just mind games. You know, we get sucked into all of this stuff where it's like, this person's going to join, this is going to happen. And like a lot of the time, it's agents of the players who are trying to get them moves or trying to drum up interest or, trying to push a deal through faster. Like, that's the reality of most of these situations. So as much as I get excited about it and as much as I like talking about transfers, I think a lot of the time we do have to take it with a pinch of salt, which I'm sure everybody here knows. Like, it never 100% works out how we kind of were hoping it for. But let's move on from that, though. Obviously, keep getting involved in the poll. Keep letting me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I want to talk a little bit now about Ederson from Atalanta because, again, we've been heavily linked to him today. Somebody I really, really like, had a great season last year. I think Ederson would be a quality signing. I do. Are we able to get him, though? That's the question. He has got a release clause of around 50 million euros, apparently, which is quite a lot, I think. I just think that he's a great option. I just don't know whether we'd have the budget to do it. 25 years of age, obviously plays football for Atalanta. 50 million euros release clause, can play as a CDM, which is obviously what we want. He can play as a central midfielder and as a central attacking midfielder. He was bought by Atalanta 2 seasons ago for about 20 million euros. I think he'd be an interesting option. I do. I don't know. I just wonder whether it's an actual, again, agent-driven move. Maybe he wants to move to the Premier League. Maybe he wants to leave Atalanta. I don't know. Atalanta are in the Champions League, though, next season, remember. They won the Europa, didn't they? So, yeah. Gregory says, why don't you rate Manuel Ugarte? Why don't I rate Manuel Ugarte? Thank you for the question. That's a good question. I'll be honest with you, right? I've probably seen him play about 10 times. I saw him play for PSG last season, and I saw him play in the Copa America. And I thought he was all right. Like, he was decent. But I didn't watch it and think, this guy's world class. I thought he looked relatively average, And for 60 million euros, is he better than McTominay? Of course he is. Is he better than Casemiro at the moment? Of course he is. Is he better than Eriksen? Of course he is. But is that the way that we look at transfers now? And we're willing to pay 60 million euros for someone just because they're better than Eriksen, who's 32. Like, that's not how we should see things. And when I look at the CDM position, it's been such a big problem for such a long time, right? That I think we need to get it right. And I'm just not sure whether risking 60 million euros, which we don't have, remember, we don't have the money to buy Manuel Ugarte for 60 million, simply. I just think it's a big risk. I know any transfer is a risk, but like Sander Berge for 20 million is way less of a risk. He's played in the Premier League, 6'4", very physical. When Manchester United played Burnley at Old Trafford this season, Sander Berge was probably the best player on the pitch. He was the best midfielder on the pitch. He was better than any of our midfielders by a long shot. And that's in the Premier League against us. So, yeah. Lumen says, will you do a video on panic buys on deadline day? Maybe. I'm not sure. I don't know what my plans are going to be for that. Carl says, truthfully, were you more impressed watching Ederson than Ugarte? I definitely like the look of Ederson more. Mate, 100%. Ederson in that Europa League final was absolutely quality. Really, really good. And I've seen him quite a few other times as well when he played for Atalanta. Stefan says, Atalanta will want 50, 60 million, comparing him to Ugarte and Zubimendi. Yeah, 100%, mate. Very, very good. Okay, let's talk about Manu Kone, though, because I can see somebody in the chat asking, and I forgot to mention him. So thank you for the reminder. So, in relation to Manu Kone, the story coming out today is that apparently Manchester United have been discussing internally today about signing Manu Kone. He's available for less than £30 million this summer. Apparently he wants to leave Borussia Mönchengladbach, and they are ready to sell him. Now, this is a player that we've been linked to for a very, very long time. I'm pretty sure Ralf Rangnick was trying to sign him, if I'm not mistaken. Let me know if I'm right. I might have made that up, but I think I haven't. I'm pretty sure Ralf Rangnick wanted him, didn't he? He's exactly the profile of player we need. He's got 2 years left of his contract. There has been quite a lot of interest in him this summer. AC Milan were in talks to sign him a couple of months ago, but that's gone very, very quiet. At the moment, Manchester United do have, I wouldn't say a free reign at signing him, but there's definitely a strong possibility that Manu Kone will leave Borussia Mönchengladbach this summer, because of his contract situation, because he wants to leave. And yeah, this is kind of feels like the right time for him to go. Obviously, yeah, I mean, he is playing for one of the kind of slightly lesser teams in the Bundesliga as well, which is probably partially why he wants to leave, I imagine, you know. Where did they finish last season? Let's have a look. Let me see if I can find out where they finished last year. I don't think they got Europa League. I might be mistaken. But yeah, he's a quality player. He's really, really good, Manu Kone. And he's someone we've been linked to for years and years and years and years. Yeah, I mean, Borussia Mönchengladbach finished 14th last season in the Bundesliga. No wonder he wants to leave. No wonder he wants to leave at all. So yeah, we'll see what happens with Manu Kone. Ant says, I recommended Kone 2 seasons ago, but he hasn't progressed since then. Fair enough. Fair enough. That's the thing, right, with Manu Kone. He's one of those players that for like you said, 2-3 years ago, everyone was like, he's going to be the next best midfielder in the world. Like, he's essential. We have to buy him. And he's one of those names that's kind of just disappeared a bit. And I think that's why he's available now, because there isn't really as much hype around him anymore. Versus if you go back like 2 years ago, as somebody said, he was one of the most hyped players around, wasn't he? I think Liverpool were interested in him. A couple of other teams were as well. But it seems like his hype's just kind of like dropped off the edge of a cliff. So, yeah. Do I think Man United will go for him? Like Sander Berge, I think he's probably like a plan C. You know, like a 5th, 6th choice option. We know who the first, 2nd and 3rd options are. It's blatantly Zubimendi, Manuel Ugarte and De Jong. Like, those are the 3 players that I'm sure Erik ten Hag has said, if you can get me any of those, I'll be very, very happy. Now, some might argue that De Jong isn't really even a CDM. So if you've got De Jong, you'd probably need to bring in a CDM as well, wouldn't you? Because to me, De Jong is more of like a number 8, isn't he? He's more of like a box-to-box number 8. He can obviously play as a CDM, and I'm just seeing as well, apparently he's injured at the moment. Let me have a look. When is De Jong? Give me 1 second. When is De Jong back from injury? Does anybody know when De Jong's back from injury? Let me know in the comment section. I can't see anything on the internet about him. I can't see anything. Let's see what people are saying in the chat though this evening. Get some questions in, get some comments in, and I will read some out. Ant says, why is nothing being mentioned about Veerman? Good player. We were linked to Veerman last week, but it's gone very, very quiet. So, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, loads of people are saying he's injured, but does anybody know when he's due back? When is Frankie de Jong due back from injury? People are saying he's injury prone. Yeah, I mean, last year was a really, really bad season for Frankie de Jong, wasn't he? He didn't go to the Euros. Neil says, I thought Ineos had control over everything, including football and commercial. No, they just got control of the football side. The Glazers are still doing the business, like the brand deals and stuff. Lumen says, Kieran, has the transfer window been disappointing for you? And are you looking forward to the season to start regardless whoever comes or goes? I'm always looking forward to watching football. I am. And I'm going to be honest, right? My expectations for Manchester United are rock bottom. They still are. Because we've been dragged through the dirt for the last 10 years. And I think there was a game. It wasn't the season just gone. It was the season before that, right? I went to the first game of the season against Brighton. We lost. And then next weekend, I sat at home on a Saturday instead of going out and enjoying a nice day. And we got beaten 4-0 by Brentford. And I remembered my mood after we lost that game. Does anybody remember that? The 4-0 game against Brentford away from home. I was literally devastated. It ruined my whole weekend. I was so miserable. And since then, this was like 2 years ago now, like, I don't really feel it anymore. If Bournemouth come and beat us 3-0 at Old Trafford, obviously I'm disappointed, but I'm not surprised anymore. So am I looking forward to the season? Yes, I'm always looking forward to the season. And I think now that I've kind of let that entitlement go, where every single game I expect us to win, I do just enjoy football, I enjoy it. I enjoy the entertainment aspect of it. Obviously, I want Man United to win every game, but you know what I mean? So, yeah, I'm not sure if I've answered your question very well there. Has the transfer window been disappointing was the question. I I mean, there's still 3 weeks of the window left, so I can't really comment on whether the window's been disappointing yet. I think if we get De Ligt and Mazraoui and another midfielder, I would say that's been a very good window. So, yeah, I'd say at the moment the window's probably like a 5 out of 10. If we get Mazraoui, De Ligt, and Ugarte or Frankie de Jong or Zubimendi, I would say it's probably like an 8 or a 9 out of 10 window, you know? But at the moment, I'd probably say it's like a 5. Last summer, I'd say was like a 5 as well. Maybe even less. I might even say last summer was a 4, maybe. Like last summer was probably worse than this summer, and we've still got 3 weeks left. Like we got Onana, who I don't think we really needed because we had De Gea, who was one of the best goalkeepers in the league. We signed Rasmus Højlund for 75 million, which was a lot of money. And we signed Mason Mount, who we didn't need either. So last season, I think, was worse. This season, we have signed good players. Lenny Yoro was an amazing signing. Joshua Zirkzee, I think, is going to be absolutely quality. But, yeah. Morgan says, with Frankie de Jong, apparently he's going to be back from injury late August, but there isn't a confirmed date yet. Yeah, so I don't really see how he's going to move to Manchester United if he's injured, because he'll obviously fail a medical, won't he? Like, you can't do a medical if you're injured. So I'm not really sure how he'll get around that. But you never know in football, do you? Maybe we do go for him. Maybe that is who Manchester United want. But yeah, it does seem a little bit strange that we've gone back in for him out of nowhere. Let's see what else people are saying in the chat quickly before I end the video. Someone's saying thoughts. I don't know who that is. I'm just going to check. Somebody in the chat saying thoughts on Oliver Glasner. I don't really know. Like, what are you saying, that you want Ten Hag sacked and you want to bring in the Crystal Palace manager? Like, I'm not into that. I'm not up for having a conversation about Erik Ten Hag's replacements before the season's even started. I back Erik Ten Hag, and I mean, it all depends on what your expectations are. If you expect Man United to win the league this season, then you may as well start shouting Erik Ten Hag out now, because he's not going to do that. If you expect Manchester United to comfortably get top 4, very comfortably, then I don't think he's going to do that either. It's going to be a struggle. It's going to be painful at times. I think if our players stay fit, we can get top 4. If they don't, like last year, we'll probably finish 8th, maybe even worse. Like, that's the reality, because our squad is so bare. We have no depth. That 1 or 2 injuries away and we're in an absolute meltdown. And that could happen again. And that's going to take 3-4 windows to get us to a point where we're like a Man City or a Liverpool, where their bench is better than most of the teams in the Premier League. Like, Man City's bench would beat probably... I honestly reckon Man City's bench would beat every single team in the Premier League, bar maybe the top 5. Honestly. Like, they had Alvarez, Jack Grealish was on the bench, they had Ruben Dias. Like, their bench was unbelievable. Last season, I probably would have taken most of their bench over any of our first team, you know? So we've got a very, very long way to go, and it's impossible really to predict at this point. But I'm going to wrap the video up here, guys. I'm going to go and... I don't know what I'm going to do. Go and walk the dog. That's what I'm going to do. Have a lovely evening, everybody. Please make sure to smash a like before you leave. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. I'll be back at 8:30 tomorrow morning for a longer live show. I hope everyone has a lovely evening, and I'll speak to you later. Bye for now.